This is who I invited, yeah.
Hey, hold on, that's not,
I wanted to.
but I'm seeing lieutenants, and I don't know.
They're commanders.
Hold on, I'm
Oh,
not
sorry.
talking to you, please. I'm
I'm
talking to
sorry.
the chief. So the chief asked me, Chief, do you want lieutenants who,
Where are you over, if you don't mind? Juvenile. You may leave.
lieutenant?
Clifton, you can go ahead and go.
How do we have?
Lanai, you're here.
Human relations.
You can go ahead and go. Traffic. You can go ahead and go. And yeah. You see that right?
Thank you, guys. Thank you. What about LT here?
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
You can sit up, if the table's up here, come up here, please. I don't trust you, if but I would like to not have to turn to look at you, if you don't mind. Thank you.
So listen, I
Sorry.
excuse,
Yeah.
the folks I excused is because I have their captains here. If I have their captains here, you're the commanders. You can message to that. So you understand where I'm coming from on that. All right? Before we begin, good morning, hello. I appreciate everybody, aloha. We know we don't know everybody. I've only got to meet a few folks. So if we may, very much would like to go around. We could start over here. Tell us who you are, maybe a little bit about yourself, what you're over.
Captain Wade Maeda. So I head the Vice Narcotics Division. We have approximately 17 people in our division. I have 24 years in the department. 24 and a half years in the department. Born and raised in Oahu originally. Moved to Maui for this job, and I've been here ever since. 3 kids, all 3 girls. 2 are in school. 1 is graduated already. Capricorn. Yeah. But I mean that
When's your birthday?
January 15th.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll be 22.
All
No,
right.
just kidding, yeah.
Good morning, Chiefs. I'm Scott Magita. I'm a captain with the Technical Services section, and been with the department for 30 years. Come April, I got from just like Captain Maeda from Honolulu originally. Moved here back in '91, and I got 2 kids, girls also, and that's about it, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Morning, everyone. Alana Pico, Information and Education Specialist. Been with the department since 2013, starting in Ad Services, and then I went on to Vice before I took this position last June. Born and raised Maui girl, and
Thank you.
Terry Jones, I've been in the department since 1990. Started in community relations, went to the assistant chief's office, and now I'm up at the chief's office. I have 2 kids, 2 grandkids, and 2 beautiful little doggies.
Thank you.
Kaido Lakai, ISB Chief, 28 years in the department, 3 kids. That's about it.
Ricky Uedoi, Captain of Internal Affairs. 2 detectives under me, 1 background investigator. Been in the department a little over 29 years. Married, 2 daughters, 1 son. 2 girls are already out of the house, college graduates, and my 1 son is a sophomore in high school. Grew up on Oahu, moved to Maui in 1992 for the job.
Captain Randy Esperanza, in charge of the Criminal Investigation Division. Been with the department for 26 years. Married, have a total of 7 children.
Captain Greg Okamoto with the Quality Assurance Section. The operations that fall under me is the IES, the Police Intelligence Research Analyst, the Research Analyst, the Body-worn Camera, the Core Unit. They all fall under our office. Been in the department for 24 years. Married, 5 kids that are all still in the house. So
Personally, I'm Lahaina Patrol Captain. I've been in here for 21 years. I'm originally from Oahu as well. I came here for the job in 2000 or 99 and married with 2 kids.
Kia ora Tom, I run Molokai Patrol. Born and raised on Maui. Next month makes 20 years. Married with 2 kids.
When did you go to the FBI?
Next month.
Okay. We'll chit chat before you go. For sure.
Oh, Captain Everett Ferraro. I've been in the department 42 years. I retired from the United States Air Force, or Air National Guard, after serving 33 years. I have a passion to serve. I would like to continue to serve. Family man, 5 kids, 15 grandkids, maybe roughly 6 great-grandkids. And that's it, sir. Oh, I'm in charge of Uniform Services Bureau, Medical Patrol.
Good morning, Chiefs.
Good morning.
I'm Uedoi Madaris, Lieutenant of the Alana Pico District. I've been with the department for 16 years.
Hold on, Lieutenant. I'm trying to stick with this. You're talking fast.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So start that over again.
I'm
Where
Joy
you work?
Madaris.
What's your name?
Joy Madaris.
Okay.
I'm the Lieutenant of the Alana Pico District.
Okay.
I've been with the department for 16 years. Originally from Oahu, and I moved over for the job. No kids.
Lieutenant Anthony Crow with the communications section. Been in the department for almost 25 years. Married, 1 son, born and raised in Hawaii.
Okay, good morning. Melissa, McGonigal Business Administrator. So ad services, I think you met some of my staff. We do personnel, finance, payroll, travel, requisition, supply, for the entire department, basically. I'm from Miami Beach, Florida. I moved here in 2000. I was the OA in Hana from 2003 to 2017 until I got this position here. So I've been here since 2017. I have 6 kids total, ranging from age 1 to 17. So that's always fun. And that's it. That's all I have for me.
I'm Moana Ludi, the Corporation Counsel. I've been a licensed attorney for 26 years. Started off as a prosecutor. Now I have 16 attorneys under me. We handle law litigation, advising, and so forth. I have 3 dogs, 5 cats, and a 27-year-old parrot.
My name is Michael Vaitulala, Acting Lieutenant of the Criminal Intelligence Unit. I've been in the department 13 years. Raised in Queens, New York, and Dallas, Texas. Been in Maui since 1992. And I have 4 kids, and I'm married.
Good morning, Chiefs. Christina Bonacorsi. I've been with the department coming up on 14 years. I'm in Wailuku Patrol as a patrol sergeant. I moved to Uedoi 99 from here, born and raised in Maui, moved to Uedoi 99. Went to Washington, got into the Coast Guard for 4 years, did search and rescue, and then decided to come back and help my community. That's when I got in.
My name's Charles Hank. I was with the Las Vegas Police Department just over 30 years. Before that, I served 7 years in the Army. I was enlisted. I got out as an E6 after 7 years. Prior to that, I grew up in Chicago. Some folks have talked about, you sound like you got some kind of accent or something. So a lot of my family's from the South. I have 5 kids, or I really don't call them kids because most of them are adults. I got a daughter who's 36. She has a daughter, 3-year-old granddaughter. I have a son who is 30. He's been with Las Vegas Police Department for 6 years. I had the opportunity to actually pin his badge on before I retired back in 19. He transitioned from being a correction officer over to being a police officer. So he's on the streets there in Las Vegas now. have another son that's 23. He's still trying to figure out what he wants to do. He's doing very well as a social media influencer. He gets paid a bunch of money from TikTok. I actually thought about doing that when I retired for a moment there. I was going to do something with cooking. I like to cook, you know, barbecue and stuff like that. And so I prefaced that with barbecue because I told the officers this morning I like to smoke brisket, and they thought the sergeants there, they thought I was smoking something, and I said, no, food, you know, so illegal or whatever. So I got a son, 23. I got another son who's 21, actually just graduated Monday. I'm kind of spinning here because Chief and I got here on the 7th, like 10 minutes apart. We were on different flights. And I got here the 7th, and obviously we were running around and everything, and I was back in Vegas on the 12th. And then I flew to Phoenix on the 13th. Flew back to Vegas that night. And the reason I was in Phoenix on the 13th was for his graduation. He graduated from Arizona State University. And so then I turned around and I was back in Maui on Tuesday, and then here for our swearing in. I think I left off with that guy, 21. And then I have a daughter who's 17. She's a senior in high school. She's about to go to college. We're hopeful she goes someplace on the West Coast so that she could be close to coming to see us here and not be too far away as we think about her. And when she goes off to college, what else? I talked about I like cooking. I like golf. I'm not as good as I'd like to be. I was getting down to that single-digit handicap, but I didn't get there as I retired for 2 years. You know, many people have heard the chief say he's verbose. Me too. And so I've told myself, and I've shared with him, I said we need to talk less and listen more. And so that, you know, he decided, he reminded me, Charles, I think it'd be a good idea we go around and hear from folks first before we start talking. So I know, I'm sure I can speak for him. We appreciate you all sharing, and don't hesitate as I'm learning the culture and some of the lingo. Don't hesitate to stop me and say, let's talk story. I like that, and I like people, and I like talking to people. So I'm very grateful to be here. I'm very grateful that he tapped me and asked me, you know, as I approached him and sent him my resume and asked him to consider me. I feel very honored and grateful that he selected me to be here to come and help serve. And so I'm excited to be here. I ask that you not just focus on what we say, but watch what we do. And don't hesitate to ask for any type of clarification. As I shared with the troops this morning, as they were going out, I'm getting ready to go out and deploy, you know, I feel like people matter. You know, people matter, cops matter, and I truly am committed to that oath that we took the other day, that we're here to serve. And I believe that's what it's all about. So thank you all for sharing. Look forward to breaking bread with many of you. I think that helps build those relationships, and it's important that we enhance those relationships. And feel free to ask me if you like the chief, can I go to lunch, or can you go to lunch with me, and I'll get you on the calendar. Terry will do it for now, or once I get assisted. But I think that's important as we continue to grow and get to know each other. That would be wonderful. So, and you're not bothering me anytime if you want to call and talk about something or got a question or need clarification, don't hesitate to pick up the phone and give me a call, and glad to be here. So thank you, Chief.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks for sharing. John Pelletier, obviously. I'm married. My wife's Christy. A lot of you gotta see her.
Hold on, I forgot somebody. I'm getting old. My wife. Ooh, don't tell her. Don't tell her.
No.
I'm married. She's been blowing me up today. I haven't talked to her, but my wife is Lisa, and she actually was on department 25 years. We bought her 5 years, and the two of us retired together. And so over the past few years, she's been doing real estate, and I've been golfing. And now she's laughing at me because now I went back to work when she went back to work. But great gal, and I'm very blessed to have her and grateful to have her in my life. So please don't tell on me. I'll be in trouble, you know, but I love her to death. So one of the most important persons in my life. So thanks.
No. My wife's Christy, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, the sun rises and sets with her. So just be aware of that. I have twins, Christian and Leah. You guys got to see them as well. They're good kids, and I couldn't be a more proud father. I think I would normally not do this, and I remember being an instructor in the academy, and sometimes they'd go and they'd give you your resume on the academy and the wall, and sometimes when they did do it, it helped give credibility because you know where some folks come from. I don't expect everybody in the room to have read 28 pages of stuff they did. I don't expect everybody to watch without the breaks 4 hours worth of testimony and things like that. Obviously, I was in the room with Everett, and I have nothing but absolute respect for you, sir. So in front of everyone, please know I feel that way, and I appreciate going through the process with you, sir. So, but let me give you just a little bit of my resume, if I may, and I'll go backwards, if you will. So, for a couple of years, I was in charge of Major Violators Narcotics Bureau, which oversaw all the task forces from the agency that we were at before. Because when we say we as MPD, let's just be very clear on that. We as MPD. But when I was assigned and had the privilege to work with LVMPD, I oversaw the DEA task force, the FBI task force, the HSI task force. We created the overdose response team while I was there to deal with fentanyl and other overdose related issues, which I know was going to blow up here at some point. So we're definitely want to get in front of that, and I'd be very anxious to hear where we are and where we're going with that. In addition to that, we had complex investigations. I had folks that had actually done narco trafficking all the way back down to cartels in Mexico. They actually helped arrest. And if you watched the news last year, there was a presentation for those that went up to the conference in Oahu in August, but Detective Tim Beck, they had arrested some high-ranking members of the Mexican government because of the work that they had done. So that's the level of some of that I'm familiar with, but I also had street teams and did, hey, let's do some buys, let's get some Charlies or confidential informants, as we call them, Charlies. And so, and I know everybody knows what the detectives look like here, so if we don't use Charlies, it ain't happening. I get it. So, and then the major violator side, to kind of give you an idea, major violators would do 700 tactical apprehensions a year. Tactical apprehensions. So I eventually got everybody task force with either the FBI or the U.S. Marshal fugitive team. Some of the marshals flew in from Vegas that they attended. If you got to meet them, phenomenal guys. But we would go after your murderers, your rapists, your shooters, anybody that was armed, dangerous, that regular patrol or regular detectives couldn't go after because there'd be a certain threat level. And as folks know, if I brief, I might say, hey, there's things that are way beneath me, and I don't need to be in the weeds, but I'm a freaking cop. And so if somebody's going to come and ask me some things, I might say, what's the apprehension plan? How are we going to go and get these guys? Are we going to do a covert? Are we going to do a surround and call out? What's the plan? What's the threat? Because why would I not ask those questions if it's brought up to me, or I might even kind of come down to that just because that was that experience. Prior to that, I had the Strip for 3 years, which obviously the Las Vegas Strip and the dynamics, 43 million tourists a year would come. Most of them would stay there. the economic engine, just like the economic engine for Maui County is tourist-based, and the 3 million tourists that come here contribute to 75% of the revenue that comes in. So obviously super important, right? We can all respect and understand that. I spent about 4 months briefly as the executive lieutenant or the adjunct or the chief of staff for the head agency over there. I was a lieutenant at Convention Center for a brief period of time when I had left SWAT. I left SWAT because I wanted to promote. And so I had been the SWAT commander, and while I was the SWAT commander for the time I was there, 300 and something warrants I oversaw, tactical warrants, 57 tactical operations, which would be hostage barricade rescues, OISs, things like that. I was the backup SWAT commander. I was the K-9 commander. Another 80 operations I was responsible for. I was the incident commander for a total. I was either the incident commander or the commander of 3 actual active shooters that were active shooters. One would be 1 October, everybody knows that here. One would be the CC Walmart incident where we lost Alan and Igor, Alan Beck, Igor Saldo in a CC's Pizza on June 8th, 2014. And then my first day as a captain, when I had the strip, there was an active shooter on a bus in front of the Cosmo. We would shoot 3 people, killing one, and the FBI deemed that as an active shooter. So I tell you that in the dates so that you understand. I'm not saying something and I don't, if I say it, I mean it and it's real, otherwise I won't say it. So then, prior to that, I had run as the XO, if you will. Administrative lieutenants is what we had, but it would be the acting captain if you weren't there for a couple different area commands. Those would be like districts here. And then I was a gang detective sergeant for 3.5 years, helped to do complex investigations. I'm very familiar with RICO, racketeering. We had 700 documented gangs in Clark County. 700 documented gangs, so 17,000 documented gangsters. And over 3.5 years, we did a lot of really good work. I was a field training sergeant. I think that training is absolutely mission critical. That's why I addressed I'm sure you heard that we went and addressed the FTOs, because I thought that's super important that they hear from us exactly how much that job means. You don't know the handprint you're gonna have on the future, so why would you not do that? I was a regular sergeant. I spent a stint in IAB, and then for about 3 years I was it's called a TAC officer. It's a training officer at the academy, or a drill instructor. And I had taught defense. I was the lead defensive tactics instructor. I maintained being an advanced defensive tactics instructor up until I retired. But I put 500 officers through, to give you an idea how many I put through, and I was the lead patrol procedures instructor for that time as well. So just to give you kind of an idea. And then I was a plainclothes detective, if you will. It was called a problem solving unit. So it'd be a combination of CIU and CRT. It'd be kind of a combination of that, but more of a plainclothes capacity. I've personally been the shooter in 3 officer-involved shootings, so I understand scrutiny and use of force at the highest level. I understand the trauma that's associated with that. I understand what that means for an agency. So when I tell you these things, I'm not coming at it from a place of not having firsthand knowledge. I will say this a lot. Our people are our most important resource, period, and they needed to be treated with the most respect possible. I'm a 3rd-generation cop. Hired on in '99, did my ride-along in '98. I knew I wanted to do the job. I graduated UNLV in '94. I went back to school because I wanted to go to law school. Did a ride-along, realized I couldn't believe it. Greatest job in the world. I was like, man, I want to do that. That adrenaline rush, chasing bad guys, that is amazing, man. I was like, that's why we signed on, you know, like that feeling when you know you're doing it. There's that hunt, that chase, that let me go fight evil. And so that's definitely there. You know, I bleed blue, please know that. You know, if you're pissed that I snapped about the freaking burger or burrito, it pisses me off in a briefing room if somebody's sitting there crunching chips or doing things like that. So I just can't stand that. So you know, I don't mean that to be a first impression, but I just don't care for that. But I bleed blue, man. I'm a 3rd-generation cop. My great uncle was he fought in the Pacific in World War II, and he hired on as a detective sergeant for Buffalo PD. My dad was one of 8, and he was the firstborn, and he would be a lieutenant for Buffalo PD, and my uncle was his mentor, and my dad was named after him in part, and I'm named after him in part. And so my dad would marry my stepmom in the early 80s. I come from a mixed family, a blended mixed family, and so I certainly can appreciate multiculturals and different things like that, and I'm always a student. Please know that I'm always a student, just like I had said. If you didn't hear, I'm always a guest. I consider it to be a blessing here. I consider it to be a guest. The AC, we had a really great conversation yesterday. We talked about some culture, some different things, and if I'm lying, AC, I listened. Yeah. You know, I listened, and I appreciate. I got chicken skin right now because I appreciate the ability to tell me I don't know, and we'll come up with the best plan. You know, together we'll do those things. So. I had kept my eye on this job for far longer than anybody knows. I know. I might have told somebody who's sitting here in the room, going on 6 years now, that if there was one job I'd leave the department for, it'd be the chief of police for Hawaii, and specifically it would be for Maui County. That absolutely was said, and I asked my wife to marry me in 2004. In Wailea, and as we were driving down South Kihei Road, I told her I'm going to end up here one day, and that was 2004. So my mom was a counselor up in Lahaina, and from well over 20-something years ago. So give you a little bit of snapshot about maybe who I am and my background, so that you at least know, hey, this guy doesn't. I know a few things. I've been through a few things, and so. So I say that, and I consider it an absolute honor of a lifetime, a blessing. I really consider it a calling to be able to be in this position and be with you folks to move this agency in the direction that we're going to move it. You know, my priorities. And I wrote them, and if people didn't these are not. These are, if you didn't read it, I'm telling you now. Let's trust and transparency internally and externally. This right here, this is building trust internally. This is spending a little bit of time to do those things, right? Externally, let's make sure that the community knows what we're doing, we know what their issues are, and that we can work together and really build lokahi, really build unity. And so that's trust and transparency internally and externally. Number 2, staffing and training. Let's be very frank. I got the guy that's running communications, and you're down basically half. Okay, and then let's talk patrol and just the department. We're between a fifth and a quarter down. Okay, and so here's what I tell the room. You cut off 20 to 25% of your body, and you tell me how effective you are. You cut off your leg, your whole leg, and then you go get in a stand-up fight. You go cut off your arm, and you go have to shoot a gun. Let that sink in, because we're operating that way right now. And what we're doing is we got men and women that are out there working 12, but it's really 13-hour shifts, some days 6 days a week. What's that doing? That's going to cause issues. Let's talk about wellness, right? Physical, mental, spiritual, emotional, socio-economic. There's others, but that's going to affect that. We're going to have folks making mistakes, being tired, getting sloppy. That's going to cost them personally, which is why I brought corporation counsel here, right? Because things will start costing and people have to start defending. So at some point, we're going to pay that price. We cannot operate that way. We cannot operate that way. A priority for everyone in this room, please know, is Wailuku will go to regular 8-hour shifts. Everybody here will help make that happen. We are missing 25% of our body, people. We've got to put a tourniquet on immediately, because the price that we can pay will be a 6th person on that wall that we lose in the line of duty, and I am not willing to do that because we don't make some tight adjustments. Okay, so that's a priority. Staffing and then training. Training is huge. Greg, if I may, can I call you guys by your first names? If I may, is that acceptable? If not, I can certainly do rank, but I just prefer if it helps. you're over Clifton, and so obviously there's some things as far as training, or at least you have input over there, and it'll make sense in a minute. Just trust me, it'll make sense. But here's the thing: is I've been very impressed with plans and training. I've been very impressed with where we're at, but they're understaffed too. You know, let's just be honest. We've got to make sure that we do certain things and we get the best training to our people, because we want to give them the best knowledge, skills, and abilities moving forward. We want to make sure that we're doing everything. We want to make sure if there's a better way, a more efficient way to do it, a more efficient way, that we're doing that. If we can help get a cop on the street quicker and speed up the process on a call, let's do that. Let's get that input, you know, and let's allow them. If there's, it's like this. I'm going to use you because I can't. Your experience. I'm going to guess. When you hired on, you had a revolver.
Yes.
Okay. There was some resistance from some cops when the automatic guns came out. Thank you.
True.
Okay. Now there's no way you go back to a revolver in patrol. There's no way. But this is a true story. Not everybody knows that. Not everybody hears that story. They don't take the time. So there's going to be, and so when you sit there and say, oh, I want you to think back about that revolver for a minute and say, okay, there's ways we can do things. One day there will be drones. I know we got one, but I want to create an air unit for pursuits. I would love that we had drones in certain patrol vehicles that when somebody went running, we launch a drone. Make sure that SRT gets them. We use them for search and rescue. But they didn't even have that. The word drone was not even thought of 10 years ago. Anyway, so training is very important. Preserving and protecting. It's not lost on me, and we all know I became a resident of the state of Hawaii on Wednesday, December 8th. And there might be people that say, how am I going to preserve the culture? That's why I made it a priority. Please understand, I will respect the culture. I will preserve the culture. I embrace the culture. We all know I have a tattoo on my arm that was from somebody from Kauai that lived in Las Vegas that blessed and honored me with that after he heard my story of 1 October. And so there's nothing but pure aloha and love that I and my family have for this culture. And so preserving it is paramount. And as we move forward, if there's something that's not quite right, I have no problem if somebody says, hey, can I talk to you about that for a quick second? And listen, if my nose ain't right, let me know. If there's, right? So, meaning you got something hanging from your nose, you got a little
boogers.
Yeah, you got something.
You don't have a booger, right?
Yeah, but you got something in your teeth, please mention it. But listen, protecting. And I have to mention it because it's crime fighting. Guys, we all swore an oath when we said we're going to go fight evil. We said we're going to go out there and protect the 165 residents and the 3 million tourists. Those are our families. Those are our friends. I'm still in shock and awe how everybody knows everything. Okay? If you, it's just amazing. It's just absolutely amazing. But those are our loved ones. And we're crime fighters. And we're out there doing what I consider to be the most noble profession. You heard my speech. If you didn't, it is the most noble profession. It really, really is. We are all that stand sometime in between life and death. If you want to know if I bleed blue very much. And I know everybody in this room does too. I know you do. So together we're going to move this thing forward. So, that being said, I want to clear the air on something real quick. And I'm never going to talk about it again. And I expect everybody in here to hear this from my mouth to your ear. There was some thought in an answer that I gave, and I said whether it was real or perceived, and I happened to use the word corruption as I gave an answer, but I talked about what the public said, and I said then whether it was real or perceived. I did not would not come to an agency that I feel is a corrupt agency. Why would I leave somewhere to come to something that would be that? This is one of the finest agencies in this country. very clearly in my speech the other day, I said my goal is to make this a model agency for the state and a best practice for the nation. I think the men and women of this agency are of the finest caliber. That, period, mic drop, is my position. And I expect everybody here as ambassadors, if anybody hears anything different, you heard exactly what I said. Are we good with that? Are we clear? Is that fair? Okay. Yes. My vision for the department. I obviously gave you priorities. I wrote a strategic plan. When they announced me as the final 5 candidates, I sat there and I started to write a strategic plan. I bounced it off of some folks, and I didn't even clarify with some people. The way the general orders are now, every 5 years there's going to be a strategic plan, which guess what? It's 1 year from now. And so we'll start it in 2022. So we'll start it moving forward. I listed what mine was, but to everybody in the room, my plan don't mean it's the best plan. Okay? We will come up with the best plan. We will have the community input on it. We'll have other folks input on it so that all of us come up with the best plan. So, but I think our current mission statement, I kind of pulled some things out of that when I created mine. But let me just, if I may, use the acronym MAUI, because there is a reason for this. Make strategies to prevent and reduce crime. We got to do that, because here we're crime fighters. We're going to the district commanders, the commanders of maybe certain elements, the just different things. We will have, I don't know exactly what the time frame will be. On Mondays, we'll have executive staff briefings. We'll have our first one this Monday for all those on executive staff. And those will also be on Fridays, but we'll figure out how they're going to be. Monthly, we will have command staff, and I will have corporation counsel in that. People, oh my goodness, why would you do that? If you're about to step on a grenade and the person that's going to defend you knows you're going to step on the grenade, wouldn't you want to know, hey, don't put your left foot there? We don't know when that nugget of information is going to come from, but we've got to trust that it's going to come. You just have to have that ability to have somebody to have a lead. If we're going to sit here and wear vests, why are we not going to arm ourselves with the person that's going to prevent us from being sued? So I think that's very important to have advice and counsel from the person that gives it to the county. And I'm just very happy that you would agree to do that. So it's very important, and I figured we set the tone now. So there's a reason for that. And I say that because when we talk about making strategies to prevent and reduce disrupt crime, it may be bi-weekly, maybe weekly, we'll flesh it out. There'll be a crime fighting / accountability meeting where we're going to talk about what are your specific crime fighting strategies. And that will be that particular, so let's just, if I may use Lanai. So if it's your turn, you're going to come in, you're going to have the crime analysis, because we're going to have crime analysis. We're going to have hotspot maps. We're going to have problem areas. We're going to have which officers are most productive in arrests. We're going to know who's working and who's not. And you're going to come in and you're going to say, here's my strategies, here's my areas, here's where I'm deploying, here's challenges and concerns, challenges and barriers. Then you're going to hear from us, what do you need? And then that way you're going to get that to the best of our ability. But then everybody knows what they're doing. It doesn't mean everybody's in the room hearing you, but it'll be, whether it's executive staff, I'll figure all this out as we're going, but I'm telling you where we're going to get to. Okay, so folks kind of know that. So that if you're leaders, but that's going to be a regular thing. I don't want to hear, and I think you guys don't. You don't want to hear, like, when they do reports, stuff that's already done. As a general rule, like if it's already done, I get so much more out of what's the problem. Tell me what the problem is, so that we can get through the problem. Let's get through the problem. Now, I will tell you, I appreciated the heck out of that phone call today, because if y'all don't know, we had a threat this morning over at Baldwin High School where a kid made some comments on Facebook, and we ended up getting him in custody. We ended up recovering an airsoft. Who knows what that could have been? Now, that kind of stuff, that we got to tell that story. And if there's some outstanding police work that's done, some folks need to be praised. And they need to get some commendables on something like that, because that's just damn good police work. You know, and I told the AC, I said, hey, I need to know when that guy's in custody. I don't even think it was 10 minutes. He's in custody, Chief. And man, I appreciate that, because it's like, man, that's good police work. So those things maybe we hear about. That's the M. Accountability, transparency, and integrity will be our priorities. Just talked about accountability a little bit. You heard me say it's the people's house, right? It's the people's department. Transparency. Folks want to know why we do things. I said there's no secrets. But now there's confidentiality. There will be confidentiality, because you have to it's a juvenile kid. I'm not going to go run around telling people, oh, this is his past. There has to be confidentiality and respect on certain things. Why do we, think of the Citizens Academy idea. It's freaking brilliant. Well, I can tell you what, I don't know if 6 weeks is enough. Maybe it needs to be 8 weeks. We're going to run that thing nonstop. Because the more folks that see that and know what we're doing, the barriers come down. Just wrap your head around this for a little. You know I had MAC out there, and you know some of those people aren't your best friends. But what if some of those people go, now I know why they do what they do. Whoa, we just moved a needle. We just moved a needle. Let's just talk about that for a quick little second, because I'm going to get to the next one. I'll transition this way. Understand, listen, and engage the community. Understand, listen, and engage the community. If we engage the community, and we know what their issues are, and they know why we're doing things that we're doing, and we have real partnership, if something happens, we need them to defend us in the court of public opinion. Let me go back. We need them. We need them. In some ways, we need them, the community, not just individuals, the community. We need the community more than the community needs us in some ways. They need us, but we need them. Let's talk about last summer. Let's talk about end of May last summer. That was not a fun time to be a cop. Between all the protests and our cities burning, we saw so many people leaving the ANC. How much stress did that cause? How much post-traumatic stress did that cause our profession? Post-traumatic stress takes effect you see it 5 years after the fact. Okay? So we don't even know the price we're going to pay from last year yet. But we saw an increase in officer suicides. We saw people leaving in mass exodus because all of a sudden one day the community, we went to bed on one day in May. They loved us. We woke up that morning, they hated us. And it was insane. And so I know we didn't have the extent here. Just hear me out. What if Oahu has another controversial shooting right now with an underage kid with multiple officers? Could that potentially blow up over there? And could that potentially cause a ripple over here? What if they have 2 in a row? You know we're going to have to seriously do some proactive engagement. What do you think I'm doing? Proactive engagement. We'll go back to that maybe a little later. Fourth, invest in our people now and in the future. I'm talking about recruitment, but I'm talking about investing in our people, most precious resource. Our people need the best that they can get. Our people need the best training, the best equipment, the best opportunities. We need to be teacher, coach, and mentors. We need to do succession planning. We need to do everything we can to promote our people and give them everything that they need. Okay? So, let me make it real clear. I'm the administration. We know this, okay? You all are the administration. Through me. You're the administration. Giving everybody in this room a lawful order, you have to support the administration. You have to. Okay? I will not tolerate insubordination. I understand where it falls in codes of conduct, and I understand how severe it can be. And anybody that is grossly insubordinate will not leave in good standing. I will not have it. I just won't. I will not have individuals or groups undermining the administration. That's all I'm going to say on it. I think everybody knows exactly what I'm saying, but please do not be the one I make the example out of first, because I will fillet the first one, and then everybody will understand very quickly what I mean. I'll get at the end, I'll talk about assignments and some different things, but I, in my heart, truly believe, you actually, I want to say, you kind of said some of this in your answer. You kind of talked to me a little bit on October 1 on that day. So, most important bureau we have. Does anybody disagree that it's uniformed services? If you do, I will entertain the argument. Does anybody disagree? It is the most mission critical, especially when we're talking about Wailuku and where we are. Because we know pre-COVID, we didn't go to this. And so now we're at COVID. So it's not that we're not out of COVID, but we're starting to. And Omicron may be whatever it is, but we're at least in a different spot maybe than we were. But uniformed services is the most important. Okay? I need the most knowledgeable leadership on that. I need to really get that underway. And so effective immediately, Clyde, you are in charge of that because that is the most important.
Okay.
Okay? So that's effective today. All right? Let's talk about the memos. Okay? To some in this room, I really appreciate the depth, the thoughts, the timeliness. There is nothing secretive, subversive, controversial that I asked. If you'll hear us talk, you'll hear me talk. What's going right? What's going wrong? How can we get better? I'll ask everybody that. And let me go back. Why do I ask that? I want to go back to SWAT, if I may, in my career. And so, who has SRT experience in any way, shape, or form? Who's overseen any part of it, or understands it, or has commanded anything to do with that? Anything? Just, okay. A good SWAT debrief talks about what went right, what went wrong, and how can we get better, so that we don't replicate the same mistake. Let's go back to SWAT debriefs, right? So SWAT debrief when they're not good. Go around the room, right? So I'm assuming that the SWAT commander, the tactical commander, so if this is a bad one. You got anything? No. It's all good. No. Good plan. Good entry. Go. Right? Bad. A good one would be, you got anything? Yeah, you know what? We called them Sierra units. What do you call the snipers here? Snipers? Okay. We would ask the snipers, Sierra units. So if the Sierra unit's like, well, I'm 7 feet, 12 o'clock elevated position. So it might be, hey, you know what? Yeah, you were elevated, but when we actually made entry, you went to ground level, and none of us knew you were at ground level. And that was an issue, right? That's an issue. And so then that comes up. A good SWAT debrief. You know what? When we made entry and we breached that door, it took way too long. We didn't bring up the right tools. We should have thought that better. We should have hit that thing better. We got a little sloppy on that. When we enter the building, you know what? So I'm talking to you now, right? Because people know what I'm saying. So hey, when you hit that first room, you should have freaking rolled, but you crossed and you caused freaking the other person to be exposed. My point is that's uncomfortable, right? When you're doing that in that environment for a minute, it's uncomfortable for a minute. It's so rewarding after that minute's over because you know where you're missing. You know it's not right. You know where it's short. So that was the purpose on that. I'm 3,000 miles away. From the day I got announced as the final candidate, October 5th, to the day I landed here is 2 months and 2 days. Got a job. Had to retire from another job. sold a house, listed a house, had to sell a house, had to clean a house, had to prepare a house in order to sell a house, had to ship a house, had to find a house, had to get out of school for my kids, had to find a school for my kids, had to ship 2 cars. So and it was like, well, you put in, that's, you know, I'm like, yeah, but I'm also trying to figure out from my commanders what works, what doesn't, what would you improve. And I have to make some actings because there's no way I could do it quickly enough in order to process and post and do all that. And so it's a little upsetting that I get some on the very last day. I purposely timed it so I would be in position so that it was lawful order that I wrote in writing. So, I mean, just understand, it's not uncalculated on my part, and I have to tell you all that, but it's like, so, come on, guys. Give me a little credit that I'm trying to do something to move the agency forward, okay? That's the purpose of it. So, we had to sit there and use that information and digest that to sort of figure out what's going to work best. You know, we had discussions on what works best, and the conversation when you came in, it was very clear to me after our conversation that I got to put this guy here because that's what's going to work best. So you might find us over communicating. I would encourage folks here, please over communicate. If you don't think, if you're like, should they know? Yeah. If you're kind of like, do I mention this? Yeah. So, no, I thought of that. So, just so folks understand, as we're building this process, I do know, like the revolver story, I do know things it's gonna be a little different. It's just different. It's a different time. It's just different, and it's not different bad. It's different as if it's an evolution. And at no point, I said it before, I'm gonna say it again. This organization is outstanding. Why else would I be here? Why else would what I just told you about those 2 months, why would I do that if it wasn't outstanding? It's so worthy, it's so incredible. But it's gonna look a little different. Some people like thin crust pizza, some people like thick crust pizza, some people like calzone. So this is just a little different, all right? Effective immediately, Alana is going to be assigned directly to the deputy chief as the information specialist because we will control the message. This is one team, one voice. Things will not leave here. I will not have 3 different people speaking on a crime scene giving a different message. God forbid there's a critical incident. It's got to be messaged. It's got to be controlled. I will not have memos coming out that should not come out to MPD everyone. It's just not going to happen again. So memos will go through her. If she's not here, him. Doesn't mean if it's not a training memo, mandatory training. It doesn't mean what's already as far as what's in the general orders, because I saw what's in the general orders already. Those things, obviously, if it's a recruiting thing, if it's a community relations thing, hey, everybody be aware of this. Those things are there. But when we're talking about you know what I'm talking about. We're talking about messaging, different things. We're going to her. She's going to control that. She is the gatekeeper on those things. If you have a question, go to her. Just because she's going to be an executive staff. She is going to know what the message is that we want. We have got to clarify that. You go, oh my goodness, guys, we've got to get 25%, 50% of people back. If we don't look like we're talking the right story, we are not going to be able to get those bodies back. There's a method to this. Trust me. So again, thin crust, thick crust calzones, right? But that's going to happen. Effective immediately, Sergeant Bonacorsi is the chief of staff. She will report to me. She will be my chief of staff. She'll be my adjutant. If she comes to you and says to do something, it's because I told her, and the general orders specifically say that if somebody of a lesser rank comes to you from somebody with a higher rank to do something, it's to be obeyed. She is my chief of staff. She will be treated as if you're talking to me. That's extremely important. That position will be a position that will be a special assignment. It'll be a teacher, coach, mentor position. there'll be some point, she and I have discussed what that time is, and she and I will keep that between us. But the purpose of that will be for me, because think about this. I know where 808 on Main is to eat. I know where some things are. There's a lot of things I don't know. And I've got to have a cop that understands the agency, that it's competent, capable, and credible, that understands the inner workings to help me in that role. So it's mission critical for me. So I was very appreciative of her accepting that position, and I think it'll help tremendously as we move the agency forward.
Chief, sorry, do you mind if I use the bathroom?
No, go ahead.
You want to take a break?
Yeah, why don't we take a 10-minute?
Okay, sorry about
Anybody need any more time, or okay? There was some. I don't know how the hell this even started. I don't think it's right. So let me be again, my lips to your ear. I told it to Dean personally. I told him that this county and this agency is in his debt that we can never repay for doing the job of both the deputy and the chief as the acting for as long as he did, and he had to carry a lot on his shoulders. I certainly wanted to make sure that he got to go out outright. And what people don't know, because I had this conversation with a couple people, I was even willing, he found out about it after I had even said it, was on December 31st, if he had to resign for 5 minutes so that I could make Dean the deputy for 5 minutes so that he could go out on top, we were going to do that. So please understand that I have nothing but respect for that man. Therefore, until he is gone, he's Alpha 3. Jacob Zach is Alpha 4. Applied for 2 weeks, I need you to be Alpha 5. And then general orders have the Alpha call signs in a certain way. But I think out of respect, I'll put you at Alpha 3, ISB at 4, and then, because I think patrol is the most important and we have to label it that way. But I think what we're going to do is when I rewrite the general order, it's going to be chief's discretion instead of having it listed a certain way. I think that's just best. I don't want to be boxed into a certain way because I respect, if you didn't hear, content of character, work ethic. Content of character, work ethic. That is, and time and grade plays a factor in that. So, yes?
Chief, sorry. A3 is USB, A4 is ISB, A5 is SSB?
Yes. Yes. After January 1.
But I'm taking USB immediately.
Yes. Yes, but Jacob Zach's not really here, so he'll be 4 because he's senior, but he's not really here.
I get it.
So that, and here's the kind of what I thought. If you needed to get with him to kind of know some of the ins and outs on that particular stuff, because it's somewhat of a beast.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of dropping it on you right away, but again, it's so critical. But I even to me, I even think like the school thing, that should be a uniform services. Like that, like, you know what I'm saying? Because that should, we'll talk more, but
yeah.
yes. So, but I want to be respectful of Dean, and I think that's only right, so. Does anybody need any clarification on anything I've said at this point? Effective in 2 weeks, but for the actings, you can step into this now, if you're able to do so. We can talk about it. It'll make a whole lot of sense here in a second what I'm saying. ISB Acting Chief Randy. Support Services Greg. District 1 Wade. Reed, you're staying where you're at. Ricky, you're going to Molokai. Scott, you're going to Lahaina. I'm sorry, you're going to Kihei. Everett, you're going to Tech Services. Tom, you're going to IA. Foster's not here, he's going to Vice.
Can we go through that one more.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was going as fast as I could, but
Nope.
thank you.
Randy, ISB. Greg, SSB. Wade, District 1. Reed, staying where he's at. Ricky's going to District 5. Megita's going to, Megita's going to Kihei. Keola's going to IA. Foster's going to Vice. Deputy.
Any questions on the assignments for the chief before I start talking?
I disagree with my
I
assignment.
don't care.
We'll talk, hold on,
Okay.
hold on. So it was questions, not your
Okay.
opinion,
All right, sorry.
okay? Any other, we can talk after this.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I just had a quick question. When Captain Tom goes to FBI, who's gonna be?
We're gonna leave it
For
vacant.
what?
Okay.
What's your question? I want to hear what you're saying.
I was just asking who's gonna be acting in place of Captain Tom when he
And what
goes
is
to
he
FBI.
over?
Fire.
He's gonna be IA.
Right, I'm gonna cover that
Okay.
with, right, chief?
Yeah.
I
Okay.
think he wanted me to help cover that.
Okay.
Thank you, chief, for all of your remarks. I got a question first, chief, if I may. I'd like to forward your questions that you sent to the assistant chief and the captains to the other members that are in this room today who did not get that question of memos of what's working, what's not working. So can I forward that on your behalf?
Yeah, and then
get
let's
those
take
res-
off the
I
acting chief.
understand,
Yeah,
I know,
just-
I'll
yeah.
edit it, I'll
Yeah,
edit
I
it
think that'd
for
be
you,
great.
but I like to send it. So, just so you know, some of you may have been wondering when the chief was talking about the memo, the chief sent out an email to the captains and the assistant chief asking a few questions about what's working, what's not working, and things of that, and what would you change immediately and stuff like that. So I think it would be of some value of the others who are in here that are considered part of executive staff, command staff, to get that feedback. So we'll be sending that to you. Lieutenant Moana, please, I think you have some value if you don't mind taking the time. We'll give you won't get quite as much time as some of the folks had a month. We'd asked 2 weeks, Chief, is that okay?
Let's go 1 week, just holidays. Maybe make it, no,
Okay,
one
2
extra
weeks.
week. Yeah, maybe
Oh,
give
so
him
another
3 weeks. Yeah, give him
Okay.
3 weeks, just 'cause of
All right,
holidays.
all right, 3 weeks, that's fine. Well, he's the boss, so, so that will be coming your way, and thank you, Chief, for allowing me to send
Yeah.
that out on your behalf. I'll CC you as well. Couple things I like to add, and the way this is gonna work, you notice I'm writing a lot of the things down, and many of you saw when the chief sent that out to you about a couple weeks into it, I followed up and said hello. I think I actually made comments and exchanged some pleasantries about hopefully you had a nice holiday, Thanksgiving. But I also reminded you of what the chief asked you for, okay? And so oftentimes, Terry will be here, or when I get the person that's working with me, in her absence will be here. Everybody will be confidential, and what's at this table, or when we have these meetings, is expected to remain confidential. And just like, and let me be clear, Captain, if you got a problem with something, we will talk about it, and it may be discussed in this meeting, but I think it's appropriate what the captain's bringing up right now, that be something he take up with me and the chief with that discussion. However, we do want open, and I know he shared this, open and candid communication. But part of my role, he's the CEO. He's in charge. If it's legal, if it's moral, ethical, and within policy, which he could change a lot of, we do it. We do it. It's a volunteer organization. If we don't like it, we don't have to be here. He and I were not forced here. We chose to be here. All of you chose to be here. So I asked And I know he's asking the same, that we respect that. And so oftentimes you'll see me as my role, as if you will, the COO. I'm going to be following up and driving what he is asking for, okay? Not intended to micromanage. I'm not going to tell you how to do your job. And I'm going to use this, and I'm not, it's not intended to be throwing someone under the bus, but it was frustrating. If I may, Chief, I want to talk about the intersection thing, and Alana knows about this. But as we were preparing to come here, we were having Blue Jean calls and so forth, and let me be very clear, Lieutenant Sellers did an exceptional job, and we're very grateful for how she commanded that. But at one point, we were on Blue Jeans, and she's asking the chief what he wants at the intersection, how he wants the intersection controlled. And I had enough. And I said, Chief, may I speak? Right? Did I not? I said, Chief, may I speak? And he said, go ahead, Deputy. And I said, Lieutenant, do you understand Commander's intent? She wasn't quite sure, and I helped her out a little bit, but I said, don't ask the chief about what he wants at an intersection crossing the street. I just saw one of your traffic, I said, you're a lieutenant, did you ever do traffic control? She says, yes. And I said, I just saw traffic officers the day before, and I got a problem with this. So hopefully we could find a way to get somebody else to do this, but I don't know if that's a good use of our resources. And I understand there's different nuances and things like that, but my understanding is we don't have, if crossing guards don't show up, our motor units have to go do that. I'd like to find another option for that. I think that's not a good use of the resources, but I do know our children are very important. And so I'm not saying let them figure it out or on their own. No, so they're still going to get something there, but I don't know if that's the best person for people to be doing that. But the point that I'm making is that here's a lieutenant asking the chief this, and she knows what needs to be done. I said, the traffic officer stops traffic when the kids come, and he lets the traffic flow when the kids are not there. Come on. But we're asking the chief this. And then what was revealed was, if I could be honest and speak candidly. And what was shared, and it wasn't a surprise because we were feeling it already, was there's a lot of people don't want you here at the command level. Am I making this up? It was said. And don't go beat her up or whatever, but she just, because she had pressure, we was pushing back. And she didn't throw anyone out there, but we know that, Lieutenant, and I'm not getting the bodies that I need. She told me Vice was busy. She didn't have enough bodies. NARCs or all these specialized units were not available. Excuse my language. So I said, that's bull. I said, I know there's differences. I know there's cultural differences, but I've been doing policing 30 years. I didn't give you my resume. I heard it's out there. And had I known it's going to be released, I'd have added in some more stuff, because he knew most of what I've already done. But, I'm being a little facetious there. But the point I'm making is policing is policing. It's not that hard. I learned a long time ago, get bad guys, like the chief talked about, okay? So we're here. We're grateful to be here. But as he said, as he tells the chief of staff, don't get that twisted that she's going to be ordering you guys around. That's not what he said. Don't go mess that up like that. The PIO or the information officer, she's not going to tell you every email you could send. Let's not exaggerate what he's saying, okay? What he's saying with certain incidents, certain things, when she call and say she needs something, why is this officer relieved of duty? Clarification. He wants an explanation. That's the kind of stuff you're going to be getting from her. When she's coordinating, when we have something, a critical incident or something that came up, and We don't have 4 or 5 people making statements. He'll probably be speaking about if we pray we don't have any, but we start shooting people or something, they want to see him. The size of this agency, I think he'd understand. They want to see him. You know, that's what I used to do as an assistant sheriff. That was one of my roles. The sheriff didn't do that, okay? And then in his absence, they want to see me. They go, where are those guys at? You know, so certain things won't be delegated. But as he said, the message has to be consistent, you know, coming from his message. Because we are, everyone in here has volunteered, remember, volunteer organization, to be an ambassador for him, our boss. Okay? And so, with that in mind, we start talking about managing up. We had a conversation yesterday with the assistant chief. Managing up is critical. Managing up is critical. As the chief talked about, over-communicate. Right now, we can't over-communicate. So you're not bothering me. If you, and I appreciate the assistant chief comes to me first. That's how most of us should flow. You know, if you can't get me, don't leave him hanging. If I don't answer, which will be a surprise, I might be in the shower because I don't answer in there. But other than that, most of them I'm going to answer. But he needs to know something. Notifications, no surprises. No surprises. We shouldn't see it on the news first. We shouldn't have the mayor calling him first, or some prominent person in the community calling him, and he's going, really? You know, this happened. We shouldn't hear about an OIS or a significant accident and stuff like that. If it's gonna hit the news, if it's gonna, you imagine yourself being a chief and you would wanna know, tell us, over communicate. And our PIO, don't take it. I wanna call first and then the email. So I don't wanna hear about a grenade when I open an email. And I know it wasn't real, and I'm just using an example, so please don't take it like I'm putting you down or whatever, but that's not bothering me. I'd like to get that call, and thank you, Chief, for giving us the information with this whole TikTok thing.
Yeah, that couldn't have gone better.
That was
Yeah, that couldn't have gone
exactly
better.
what we need. The chief let us know, and by the time I was trying to call and brief him, he had already called and briefed the chief, asking questions, and then by the time we hung up, he was calling us, telling us in custody. So, excellent job. Thank you. Perfect. That's how we want it to work. And so over communicate, anticipate the question. Do everybody understand what I'm saying? Anticipate the question. You know, we don't need a lot of, but it's okay to say I don't know. Don't make shit up. Okay? If you don't know, you don't know. We'll give you time, but some things you should know, and you've had time. But that's part of that managing up. Anticipate the question of what he may be asking, what he needs to know, what he's looking for, you know. And so be aware of that. Couple things, just like he's talking about no eating, and I'm only on my phone because I don't have a computer yet. I can't print stuff out, and I'm not on the system yet, so typically I'm not on the phone. But don't be on your phone when we're in these meetings. Handle your business. He's the boss. Okay, I know you have family things, or let us know ahead of time. If you're not going to be at briefing, you need to let me know, because I don't want him looking and saying, where's captain or where's chief, assistant chief? I need to get an email or a phone call prior. I'm not going to be there. We're going to put together a staff calendar. I hope Workday has that provision or something. I'll work with Terry to figure it out. But we're going to need to know where the command, particularly, we're just doing it with the assistant chiefs, right? They'll manage their captains, but the assistant chiefs, if you're on, and I'm messing it up, chief, command and executive staff, but if you'll know, we'll get with you to let you know who's on staff that we expect to know your calendars and where you're at. And it'll be a shared calendar, not your individual calendar, but we'll create a shared calendar so we know where folks are at. And that way it doesn't necessarily all have to be called the day before, you know, we can project out, because we need a certain number of people here. And it will be very rare cases that he and I are both off island at the same time. Very rare, okay? I'm actually, you know, I'm kind of, Yeah, and I'm not scared or nothing, but I know somebody offered to take us up in a helicopter, and I was trying to see, you know, not paranoid or whatever, but, you know, I think we're probably gonna go up together, but I just don't, you know, it's kind of like the president, and I, you know what I mean? But I think, you know, the assistant chief could cover things as we take that tour of the island and fly around and see what's going on. But the thing is, we wanna make sure that's covered. We're gonna be engaged. We're not gonna micromanage. It's a difference. We are going to be engaged and be involved with you. So notifications, phone calls, and if any questions anytime, let me know. Another thing, so Chief just shared with you your assignments. One of the things we're expecting is a transition memo. And so this may be something new for some of you. If you need help, so anytime, I've worked for folks, and you learn from mistakes, right? You learn from certain things people did that you don't like, but you still learn from it. I'm not going to do that. That's what not to do. And so some of the things I've learned is what we should do. And some people used to do, they just tell us they want something and wouldn't help us. So I don't work like that. If I ask you to do something, just like the chief said when he addressed, I don't call it the flight, I call it the platoon or formation. We don't have aircraft here yet or nothing. But the troops out there, he said he'll fight and die for them. I'm not going to ask you to just tell you to do something, and then what happens oftentimes, if I just tell you, is this what you want, Chief? No. And then you just go do it again. Nope, that still ain't it. That still ain't it. And what some of those leaders do when they do that, they're insulating themselves from failure because they just keep their critic. I'm going to come alongside you. He's going to come alongside you. We are with you. We're going to support you. We will set time aside to talk with you if you don't understand what we're asking for. We're not going to tell you how to do it. If you need help, we'll help you figure that out. But weigh in equals buy-in. We got to let you weigh in. We got to listen. That's why he started the meeting that way. He wanted to hear what you have to say before he speaks, okay? And let you share. So, transition memo, some of the highlights of that, if you haven't done it before, but these are some of his expectations of what he wants, is it needs to address staff. And so basically what this is where you leaving, where you're going away from, you're going to write this memo to your successor. You with me? Even if they're not there. So like for your example, and I know you want to talk to us, but let's say you do leave IAB, and it'll be directed, even though there's not a person filling that position, it'll just be directed to the chief and I. Okay, but anyone else, if you're leaving a position, so like assistant chief, you've had 2 areas that you've covered here, right? So you're going to pass on to your 2 counterparts to give them some insight, and as well as the other commanders of things like staffing issues. Okay, what are there? You have any IAB cases? Do you have any, how many, we're not going to violate any HIPAA laws or anything like that, but how many people are on light duty? What other types of things that they need to know about? So notice what I said, staffing, people matter, that comes first. Budget issues, what challenges or what things you think you need or that you've been working on or that you asked for or you intended to ask for to pass on to your counterpart. Community issues. What meetings did you have set up? Who was expecting to meet with you? We don't want to, you see the chief's plan and trust him on this. He knows what he's doing in terms of the community is critical. If we don't have them, that's why these places burn. That's why these places have riots and tearing stuff. That's not allowed here. And if we build a relationship, we don't have to use force. We can make a phone call. Okay? It's prevention. It's another form of prevention, right, Chief?
Yes.
So that's why it's community. So don't leave a community member hanging if you had a plan to meet with them and just say, I don't have to meet with them now. Tell your counterpart, this is what you were going to do. Operational issues. How are you running things? What are you doing? How did you do this? How did you do that? What meetings did you have? They certainly are going to have the autonomy to change what they want to change, but it hurts the troops if we don't communicate with this transition and creates confusion. as if we don't know what's going on. And so this is not just busy work to have you doing something, and it's not even necessarily for my edification. It's for each other. It helps things go smoother. Upcoming meetings and any other areas of concern. So the chief said a few weeks, I would say, so what are you, mid-January, like the 7th or 8th or something? What are we looking at? What's a good, is that reasonable? You know, Terry,
The moves
do we
are
have
2
a
weeks
calendar?
from now, so realize if you're gonna drag it out a week after they're there, you're kinda hurting them a little bit, but I wanna be respectful for Christmas. So I'd say 2 weeks would be ideal, 3 weeks at the latest. But at least if it's gonna be 3 weeks, you need to have a conversation with who's your successor and at least let them know what's coming in the memo.
So no late, if I may, Chief, no later than a week after they get there. Ideally, if you can make it happen, get it there before they assume command. You know, that before the 1st, that would be great. If I was at you, I'd find time because that's important. And then you gotta find time to start, you know, some of you are stepping in 2 areas. But with that, right now, that's all I need to share, Chief. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share some things. Any questions for me that I need to clarify with what I share? Anyone? All right, thank you, boss.
Ricky, we can go talk in my office.
Yeah, whoa, anybody else got anything?
I did, sorry, I didn't know that was the end of it. I did have a question. So the estimated date for the effective date for these movements for the actings is because we do the personnel
2 weeks
orders.
could be 2 weeks, but if they want to try to jump in the role and get some experience and knowledge now to help out, because for instance, I don't, all I really have right now is AC Holocaust. Like, and so if Randy can help, and he's able, because he's the captain right above it, that helps. If Greg can help, they can at least assume, I'll give you, you have the authority, and if it doesn't impose on what you're doing, but it'd be 2 weeks.
So you talking like for payroll and stuff like that?
Yeah,
or-
so for our personnel orders, when we outline it, all our movements, who's
Right.
moving from a position number to another position number, we always have to put an effective date, like effective this date, and that way.
It doesn't have to take into account a certain payroll period or certain
We try to
days?
go 1st and 16th is usually what
So,
we try to
first.
stick with.
So can you
January
look at it, first?
Oh, I don't know, that's what.
Yeah.
That's
Okay.
fine.
And that works for you?
Yes, that'll be okay with us. And then the second one, I know QA will be vacant with Okamoto moving out, so I'm.
No,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that.
Okay.
Well, they'll still fall under you as an assistant chief, correct?
That falls under chiefs.
Wait,
so-
QA?
Oh, yeah, no, it doesn't anymore. QA is gonna fall under, I don't need QA directly underneath me.
Right.
Remember, I kind of tipped my hand a
Right,
little
so
bit.
we're gonna
and people
move
didn't know.
QA.
You want
QA is gonna
QA
go
under
under SSB.
Right.
Yeah,
We're gonna move
because I
QA.
just added stuff and I don't need all those things, so
And
QA is gonna go
and
under.
here's something, Melissa, Chief, if I may. I don't know if we have liberty, because I saw something from the county or whatever, but if we can't do this from a county perspective, the chief pointed out, and we were talking about this yesterday, we want to make some adjustments to the org chart. So we're going to move the assistant chiefs on the chart. You know, the way this reads, it's kind of,
We'll draw it up.
you know what I'm saying? We'll show you, it'll be helpful in that way. But we do a plan, as just been clarified, you're going to get QA. Right, Chief?
Yeah, that's why I was like,
Sorry about that.
that makes sense.
But thank you, Melissa, that's very helpful.
Okay.
Anything else?
Chief, one thing, if you had,
Wait on, is she done? Hold on.
Oh,
let's see if she's
Sorry,
done.
yeah, and I think just closing out evaluations and I guess all the closeout that comes along with, I guess, movements. I think that's all I have. Thank you.
So that's a good point. You don't, that used to happen over at the last agency too, where somebody's eval was due on the 1st, and you've been the one rating them and observing them the whole year, and now you transfer on their 1st, and you're like, I don't have to do that. No, don't do that. Please don't do that. And if you find out they're not getting done, let us know, or let the commanders know
ACs
to
know,
fix it, to get
they'll
that
handle it.
fixed. Anything else?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Wait.
Yeah.
so, just a quick one. Some of us, me for sure, I put in for vacation.
No
And it's
problem.
during that transition period, he's gonna grant it or you
Yeah.
just cancel it?
If it's approved vacation, it's approved vacation.
Okay.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
We're not canceling
Realize
anything.
though, on the 1st, you're there, so try to get your stuff maybe moved
On
sooner.
paper,
but yeah.
you know, on your
But yeah,
assignment, it's
vacation's
changed.
vacation, man, family
Okay.
first, so.
Okay, thank you.
Who are you?
Huh?
Did I miss that? For
Services.
Tech
Services.
Thank you.
Chief, after this
Sorry.
meeting, may I speak with you or the deputy after?
Well, you can speak with both of us. We're gonna speak to the captain
Okay.
first.
One,
and then we'll
two.
get you. Anybody else need a follow-up, one-on-one?
1, 2, 3.
3,
Can I go 4?
4?
Yeah.
Anybody else for the room right now, for everybody? want to respect your time. Now the chief has said before, he doesn't like, and I agree with him, he doesn't like meetings to go like 2 hours.
No,
we probably need another meeting if we go with that, and I like that style with him, and we don't want to go that long. And then the other thing is, we do get going, and appreciate you, Captain, interjecting and asking. Don't feel hesitation if we got to take a break like that. It's helpful for somebody to speak up. We're not that. We shouldn't be intolerant like that. That's understandable. That makes sense. Anybody else?
So listen, I said earlier, we're all one team, one fight. It's the administration. Some folks like their moves, some folks don't like their moves. That's not what's going to define where we're going to go. A third of the way into the meeting, I asked if we're all on this thing together. I asked for everybody to kind of understand what we said. I said thin crust, thick crust. We talked about that, but here's the thing, and let me close with this because this is extremely important. You guys are leaders of one of the finest agencies. And if my passion that I have sometimes comes off and you think I'm angry, it's because I'm passionate and I'm driven and I really care about it. Those men and women are depending on you guys. The community's depending on you guys to go out there and be leaders. You guys took a test multiple times and you put yourself in this position. So I'm calling on you as the chief to go out and be the leaders that you said you are when you swore your oath to do this job to the best of your ability. I freaking need that from you. But more importantly, the men and women whose lives are on the line out there for us need it from you. I need that message to be unified. I need you guys to do that. It's imperative. It's mission critical. The county deserves it. The people deserve it. The department deserves it. And so if you cannot do that, you need to let me know right away because I need you to be leaders. If you can't be leaders, then follow my lead. And if you can't do that, then maybe we need to do something else. But this is super important. Thank you.
Captain, you're going to wait a minute. You're now second. We're going to talk to General Counsel real quick, and then we'll get to you. All right?
Is someone going to inform Foster? Do you want me to?
I'll call him.
Okay, got it.
You got a moment? Mona? Thank you all for being here. Have a good weekend.
Huh?
Yeah. Yeah.